Hi everybody. So in this tutorial, I want to discuss one of the questions that we get quite often from our users of the system and people outside the system trying to find out what happens if AthleticSOS gets so popular that every single high school student in the nation is using the system, and now we're all competing with each other to get the few athletic scholarship opportunities are available. And one of the things I want to show you is that does not matter, and you shouldn't worry about it because each student athlete is unique and what they're seeking is unique. So let's walk through real quick, and I'm going to use one of my two athletes that I have loaded in my test system, and one's Charles and one's Marie. And so I'm going to I've picked Marie, so I'm on Marie's site right now, and I can see that she plays two sports. She plays softball and she also plays water polo. And I can see under softball, she shows she's third baseman and she has great leadership. But under water polo, I see that she's first team All-State, which if we look up here, she's already done some searching for the softball team, but let's do some searching for their water polo. And so for her softball, one of the things that came up was her high school coach said, hey, if there's anything D2 or below, I'm willing to work with you. But our water polo coach said, you can look at any level you want. So let's start looking for a D1 school for Marie for water polo. And so we're going to come here and add schools. And we notice her GPA is 3.5 and she's got an incredibly high ACT score and pretty good SAT score. So no problems there. We continue on. And we're going to go in and select sport. Now, for most of you, if you used a code, then you were requested to select a sport when you registered. If you're connected to a school or an organization that has multiple sports that they offer at that organization or school, you're going to see a group of sports that you have the opportunity to search on. So in this case, I can see all of the sports because this is my test system. And so I'm going to go and choose water polo. For you, water polo may already be there if that's the sport you chose. Now, what region do I want to be in? Now, I'm going to just say I want to look in the Northeast. And then finally, what division level? And I can play any of these divisions if I can play Division 1, but I'm going to choose Division 1. I'm first team All-State, so I might as well go for a Division 1 school. And so I'm just going to hit search. And so just quickly, a number of schools came by that have water polo at the Division 1 level. And I'm going to go and start selecting some of the schools. Now, remember, in our system, if you see these colors over here, it means if you see blue, it means you're in the top 25 percentile of the kids that were accepted into that school the previous year. And when I mean top 25 percentile, I mean academically. The people they let in the school the previous year, academically, you're in the top 25 percentile. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't change some rule or something didn't happen in that meantime, but for all intents and purposes, you're in pretty good shape. If you see green, you're in the middle, the 50 to 75 percentile. And if you see yellow, you're in the bottom 25 percentile. And remember, when you see white, or it may look clear to you guys here, that means that school doesn't use the ACT or SAT as a criteria. So let's say I want to look at Iona College. And I hit details and I learn all this additional information about it. And in some of our other videos, we show you quite a bit about that. But in this case, one of the key things I'm looking at is there's no application fee for this school. So I might as well go ahead and go for this. I know academically I'm qualified. I may be able to get some academic money to help me offset the cost of going to the school. And it doesn't cost me anything to put an application in here. So I'm going to do that anyway. So I'm just going to come down here and I'm not going to do any of the other things that we show you in some of our training inside the system. I'm just going to go ahead and add this school. And so that school is added to my list. And I can go on and do this as many times as I want to, but I want to do something slightly different here. So I'm going to go back into my basic information where I started talking about the academic setup. So let's say this is a different Marie. This is not Marie Norman. This is a different Marie, but she had a different GPA. And so let's change her GPA real quick. We're going to go in and we're going to make her GPA let's make it a 2.5. And let's also say Maria's scores for ACT weren't quite this good. Let's make them 20s. Okay, so now we look, this is a different Marie. So this Marie, she's got a 2.5 GPA, and our system picked up the fact that her ACT scores look okay. There's no notices there, but the program did detect that the GPA is out of sync with the SAT score that this person has entered in. The system notices that normally a applicant with this SAT score would have a GPA of at least a 3.5. And they were telling you maybe improving your GPA can help you quite a bit, because the colleges are going to notice that too. It's going to be a red flag for them that this GPA of 2.5 doesn't match up with these SAT scores. And so they're going to question that. So our system picked that up. Nothing wrong with the ACT scores. Remember, we lowered these ACT scores. So those scores match up just fine with the 2.5 GPA, but we did not change the SAT scores. And so these scores do not match up. So let's go next. And so we're going to go back and select water polo again. And we're going to select the Northeast again. And we're going to say D1 again. And so we're going to do a search. And so the listings come back again. And Iona, you notice if I hit details on this, because it's still blue. So that seems okay to me. When I go back in, the reason I'm in blue is because of my SAT scores. You can see I'm very high up on my SAT scores. I have a 1300 here. And so this puts me above the 75 percentile. So this puts me up in the top echelon. But for the ACT, it wasn't that way. And so let's do one more change here and take a look. I'm going to go in now and I'm going to go ahead and change my SAT scores. And I'm going to lower these down. So let's go ahead and change these. And let's give me a 450. We'll do an update. And now if we go back in, we'll see that the 2.5 matches up just fine with these particular SAT and ACT scores. So there's no notice here. The system didn't pick up anything off from these scores. They match up. If I hit next, and now I go in and I select water polo. Let's see what happens here. We're going to choose Northeast again, and we're going to choose Division 1. And we're going to do a search. And now you notice there's no blues there. But Iona College is still there. I still kind of qualify, but I'm just not qualifying at the same level. And so now I may be looking at different schools. And maybe in this case, maybe I'll look down south. I don't see any blues. Maybe I'm looking for only schools where I think I can get some academic money. Nothing's going on good there. There are no schools with my academic level. And don't forget, in our system, if you don't academically qualify to attend the school by your SAT and ACT scores, we don't show you the schools. So let's check out West. Oh, here's a few. Well, at least I have a green here. And so Cal State Fresno, and here's Northridge. That's kind of close. I'm going to go and look at Northridge. And I'm going to select Northridge under my list. And I'm going to say add to school. And so these schools are now being added to my list. And so if I go back to my front area, I'm going to see these schools all in my system. Now I use the same student athlete. So you can see though, if I was Maria, the first Maria, I would have for softball, I would still have Emporia. And for water polo, I would have Iona College, right? Because I was a blue in that particular instance. I would not have probably selected Cal State Northridge because I was looking in the Northeast. But as this second Maria, I knew I didn't want to try for a school that I had a yellow because it would put me kind of at a disadvantage. Maybe I can get in, maybe I couldn't. But because my scores were lower, I was looking for a blue or green somewhere, and green was the best I could do. So I selected green. And so this school, Cal State Northridge, gave me my best chance academically to qualify, and athletically I can play at that D1 level, and maybe they'll take me on. I have a better chance of being accepted there by that school than I did getting a yellow in the other school. So those are kind of things that I want you guys to understand. So these lists would be different. Maybe Emporia stays there. I don't know, because I didn't look for softball in this situation. I just looked for water polo, but maybe Emporia doesn't even show up when I look under with the second Maria with the lower test scores. It might not even show up in my list. And so the idea here is to understand that it does not matter how many people are using the system, because the system is based on your particular situation. Also, I didn't even go into checking out the schools. Do they have my major? Or is it what kind of environment is it? Is it urban? Is it rural? Is it suburban? Does it fit what I'm trying to do moving forward? So everyone's list here will be completely different. Hopefully that makes sense to a lot of you guys, and you understand why I say it doesn't matter how many people are using the system. It doesn't matter how good the other athletes around you are. All you're trying to do is create a list of options and opportunities for yourself. So never worry. Use AthleticSOS to your advantage. Find what you want to do next, and then find the schools that match up with you. And if you don't see the matches coming there, then maybe you need to go back and get your grades up. Maybe you need to go take the SAT or ACT once again, and to match up and to level up so that you can be where you want to be and you can go where you want to go. Okay, thanks you guys. Hope this is helpful for you. We'll see you in the next tutorial.